You can't go anywhere on the internet these days without seeing the news about these dire wolves all over the place. And there are lots of science communicators talking about Colossal Bioscience and what they've done here and some of the red flags that we're seeing. But I want to address one thing in particular, and that is this diagram, because right now I am teaching an introduction to paleontology class where I'm asking my students to produce diagrams like these of animals and label them correctly. And you cannot improve unless you receive feedback. So let's give Colossal Bioscience some feedback on this diagram.
Okay, so the first thing I'm getting when I look at this this diagram here is that there's a strange mixture of like both general terms for things as well as the proper scientific names. So they have things like neck bones, for instance, here, and tail bones, but then they have caudal bones, and caudal is a more scientific term, and it means tail. So I think the first bit of feedback I would give to Colossal Bioscience is choose either general, common, plain language or scientific terms. One or the other. Don't mix them up because that doesn't make any sense. So I'm just going to start now from the beginning of the skull, the beginning of the animal, and move backwards. So skull is labeled correctly. They are specifically pointing to the opening in the skull for the eye known as the orbit. So I'm not sure why. They could have just kind of pointed to the skull in general, but that's fine. I would give them a correct, like a check mark for that. So let's give them a check mark, shall we? Give a check mark here. Skull, check. Okay, we've got 1 point. So let's move on to this next one, sternum. So the sternum is the bone that's in the chest there, and that is approximately where it would be, except for that it's not in this diagram. The sternal bones are not visible here, like the sternal bones. This is actually pointing to a rib. So I'm sorry, but that is not correct. Okay, that's not correct. This is the humerus. Yes, that's good, and it's pointing to the humerus. Like I don't know why it's ending at the end of the humerus right here and not in the middle, but that's fine. It is generally indicating the correct bone. So that's good. Perfect. This radius is pointing to the end of the humerus here. This is actually right here. If you look, that's actually the end of the humerus. That's the end of the upper arm bone. The radius is this bone right here. So I would have actually done this here and put that down. Also, we have a spelling mistake here for radius. This one should be I-U-S. So there's a big X for that one. This carpus, I'm not sure what they're talking about there. This is pointing to the radius and ulna, which are those two forearm bones. The carpal bones are actually right here. So that's what I would say there. So that's a big And then we have metacarpal. This should be metacarpal. Metacarpal bones. Suddenly we're adding the word bones on. Fine. That's fine. You could also just call them the metacarpals, but those are not metacarpals. The metacarpals are down here. That's like this equivalent of the palm of your hand. Yeah, like these bones right here. So that's a big So there's a spelling mistake and it's pointing to the wrong bone. This is generally the ulna here. Yes. The way I like to remember that is ulna sounds a bit like elbow, and the forearm bone that goes back into the elbow is the ulna. So they get a correct 1 mark for ulna. Correct. Woohoo. So they are so far 3. Sternum I could maybe give them, but there's no sternum on here, so I could give them 0.5. So maybe 3.5 so far is the mark that they would get. Okay, now let's look at the ones, the labels that are up top here. So neck bones, again, these are neck bones, but like I'm confused because for the other bones you're using their proper names, and then now suddenly you're just calling them neck bones instead of cervical vertebrae. And in particular, you're pointing to that looks like the axis, which is a special vertebra for turning your head. So I'm not sure why they didn't label that one in particular. So this one, again, not wrong, but maybe half marks. Scapula? Scapula. So it is correct. That is pointing to the proper thing, which is this shoulder blade, but there's a mispronunciation there. So again, cannot give them full marks, maybe half marks if I'm feeling nice. Okay, dorsal. What does that mean? What is that? I am so confused. What is dorsal? Because like dorsal is just a direction. It's just like a side of the skeleton. Like your dorsal side is the side that your backbone is on. right now, and the opposite side being ventral. But in mammals, we have two different kinds of backbones between our shoulder blades and our pelvis. We have the thoracic vertebrae that have rib bones attached, and then we have this special lumbar region, which is a mammal thing, that don't have ribs attached and have a slightly different shape. So this is just like, I don't know what to call it. It's pointing to thoracic vertebra and calling them dorsal, which doesn't make any sense. So that's a big for me. Then they have this lumbar pointing to, you guessed it, a thoracic vertebra that has a rib there. So I don't know what that's all about. So this is wrong. That should be there. And it should say vertebrae or lumbar bones even, I would accept, but like just lumbar or lumbar region, just lumbar pointing to the wrong thing. No. Pelvis. Oh my gosh, they got one right. Pelvis. Yes, that's the pelvis. Now, they have caudal bones, correct, and tailbones. I'm sorry to break it to you. Every single one of these bones back here are both caudal and tailbones. Caudal just means tail. So it's like one or the other, not both. So that one we can just be like, if we're going, let's just be scientifically accurate, we can call them caudal bones. If you're doing this for the general public and you want to use tailbones, great. But use one or the other. Don't use both. Okay, next, femur. They got another one right. I can't believe it. It's a miracle. And then patella. The patella is actually this bone right here. That's the patella. That's a kneecap. So that patella should actually be here. I don't know why they're indicating the back of the knee joint. That's a little bit disconcerting. Some kind of weird, mutation going on there. Tibia seems to actually be pointing to this tiny bone here, which is the fibula. So tibia, wrong. The tibia should be this larger bone here. And then this fibula bone, maybe that's just the end of the fibula, but this area in general is actually the tarsal bones, the tarsus, right? So this is not the fibula, this is tarsal bone. So they should be putting tarsals here. So we got the fibula is actually this tiny bone here. It's probably easier to see it if I indicate it there. And then they have toe digits posterior. I don't know what to do with that one. Because digits is just a general term for referring to toes and fingers. It's like the little bits and bobs that come off your hand or feet, okay, that are like wiggly and move about, okay? So toe and digits is redundant. Posterior just means the back end of an animal. So like toe digits posterior. Where else would the toes be? Like if they're indicating bones, those should be phalanges, however you want to say it, toe bones. And what they're pointing to isn't even toe bones. Those are the metatarsals. Those are the equivalent bones of these metacarpals over here. These are the metatarsals in the foot of the animal. If they want toe digits posterior, whatever the heck that's supposed to mean, that is supposed to be right here. Ribs, oh my gosh, let's end it on a positive. Those are indeed ribs. Oh wait, no, looking more closely, they are indicating the empty space underneath a rib. So I'm going to have to go ahead and go, that is incorrect. So let's see. How many things did they put here? One time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, they did 20 labels. So out of their 20 labels, okay, what did they get? So we had 20 labels. Out of their 20 labels, what was their mark? If I give them 0.5 for the sternum, so 1 for the skull, 1 for the humerus, so 1, 2, 0.5, 2.5. Again, I'm going to have to give them maybe for neck bones and scapula 0.5. So we have 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, 5.5, 6.5, 7, 8. Okay, so their grade on this is 8.5 out of 20. Oh, and I forgot. No attribution for this image. It is an image that's freely allowed to be used, but you have to give credit. So there should be some kind of figure caption here that says image modified from blah, 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 and that is not there. So that's minus 1 point. So 7.5 out of 20. not a passing grade.
So this diagram is still up as of today at about 4 o'clock. I double checked. It's still up in this same condition with all those mistakes. So students, let this be a lesson to you. This is why you don't let AI do your work for you, because it doesn't actually know stuff. It doesn't actually know anything. It's just guessing what might be most likely. And on a diagram like this, that just doesn't cut it.